Hello there, my name is Travis Nielsen and I'm a noob just like you. That makes me the perfect candidate to present this third episode in a series called GitHub for Noobs.
GitHub for Noobs.
In the last two videos, we looked at the history of Git and GitHub, and then we looked at how Git is used, a simple workflow and a few GitHubby terms. Today, we're gonna look at a practical tool that makes getting started with Git and GitHub pretty simple. It's an application built by GitHub. It's awesome, so let's get started. All right, the first thing we need to do on this little adventure is sign up for GitHub or log into GitHub if you haven't already. After that, we need to go to desktop.github.com and download this application. And this is what we're going to be focusing on in this video. I'm in the DevTips account right now, so I'm going to go down and create a new repository. And I'm going to call this repository GitHub-for-Noobs. And this is kind of like what I'll be working in for the rest of the episode. It's a public repository, that's perfectly fine. And one of the things that I like to do, so I like to create my repositories on GitHub and then pull them down. And the reason why is that GitHub allows you to create a gitignore file really easily. And so I'll just type in OSX. There's nothing to show there. Okay. I'll just type anything in there. How about Jekyll? There is a Jekyll, okay. And create the repository. Now, that gitignore file is kind of important, and I'll just go to gitignore gitignore.io, and I'll tell them and I'll describe my system to them. All right, gitignore.io. I'm on OSX, and I'll be using CodeKit maybe. Yep, and maybe Jekyll, but I'm not going to use Jekyll this time. But still, so I got these three things, and it's going to generate the gitignore. Now this file will tell Git what to ignore. So for example, OSX, it's going to ignore the DS store files, which are like my folder structure metadata. We don't need that in GitHub and on Git, so it's going to ignore all these files. And this is why I like to create my repositories on Git first, so that all of this stuff is already set up before I pull it down and I have a chance to contaminate it. So I'll edit this file right here, and just on GitHub, they have a file editor, and I'll just paste everything that I created at gitignore.io, and I'll commit those changes. And now, when I go to my repo, I have one file and it's updated with everything and it's good to go. Okay, so now I'm going to go download my desktop app. All right, if this is your first time opening the GitHub Desktop App, this is the first thing that you should see. It's a little tutorial. It's quite nice. Let's continue. So I'll do my login and password here, and then I'll see you in a second. The next screen is your Git config. This is trying to capture information that will help set up your Git repos every time. So it'll put your metadata in there, your name and your email address. And then install command line tools, you bet your little butt. Cool. And continue. Which repositories would you like to use? Okay, it's going to find local repositories. If you don't have any local repositories, then just don't. I'm not going to check any. All right, done. All right, there's a really handy walkthrough. That's great. I'm going to delete this thing. So here we are with the GitHub application. We haven't done anything yet. We've only just signed in. So to get started, I'm going to go over to this plus button here on the left. And I'm going to be given three options here. I could add, meaning if I have a local repository already and I just want to find it here and add it to the sidebar. The second one is to create a new one, entirely new. And then the third one is to clone. These are to find all of the repos that you have on GitHub and start bringing them down to your system, cloning them and working on them there. So this is what we're going to do because we already created that other repo on GitHub called GitHub-for-Noobs. So let's find it, GitHub for Noobs right here. And what the cool thing about this is it'll show all your accounts. So I have Travis Nielsen account, and if I have like a company and I'm a part of their organization, it'll show up. My dev tips organization shows up. So all of these things show up. It's pretty handy. So I'm going to clone GitHub for Noobs, and I'm going to clone it straight to my desktop and clone. Cool, cool. So GitHub for Noobs is really, really small. It's just a, let me open it up here, open in Finder. So you can, in this sidebar, you have a lot of options. If you right click on it, you can view it on the website GitHub. You can open it in your Finder, in your terminal, and Atom, which if you have Atom like we explored a few weeks ago, this is all really handy because they're all kind of like in the GitHub ecosystem. They all work really well with each other. Okay, so when I open the GitHub for Noobs folder, you can see that there's kind of nothing in it. If I show you the invisible files, you'll see the git ignore file, but really there's nothing in it yet. So we need to add some files. So I'm going to open this repo in Atom, our favorite text editor. And you can see that git ignore file here created already. And I'm going to add a new file, and I'm going to call it index.html. This is not even a part of the tutorial, so I'm just going to paste in some index stuff. And I'm going to create a new file called style.css. And in style, I'm just going to paste in some styles here. And these styles and index, these are taken from the dev tip starter kit. I just robbed them. So save there and save there. Now, cool thing about Atom specifically, look at how these files are green now. These green files means that there have been new lines added. So remember our last kind of commit in GitHub was right here when we updated the git ignore. We did that on GitHub, and the only thing that we had at that point was just this git ignore file. So look at this. See that right there? That dot is the commit path. Remember in the last episode we had like those moving red dots? These are the commit paths. The first one was the initialization. This is like just the initial commit. This is when I like set up the account or set up the repo. This next one is when I edited the git ignore. You see how it changed? And this kind of broken line here, the broken circle line thing right here, is where we currently are. And I've added these two files, and I can see all of the lines added right here with this little plus. Let me just close this sidebar here. And you can see all these plus and a line. These are everything that I added, and Atom reflects those same changes by saying that these two files are green, and then you can see the number of added lines right here, 84, and this one added 420 lines. So that should be good. Let's open up this with a browser and see what we look like. Okay, this is the DevTip starter kit. Cool, you've seen this before. Let's make a few changes along the way, and let's say go to that style and go all the way to the bottom, and I don't even know what's going on. I'll just say body background. Background will be red. Pink, you know I was going to do pink, right? You thought I was going to do red. I'm not going to do red. Pink, let's see if it changes it all here. Refresh. Okay, we have a pink background now. Okay, so we've made a change. Let's check these marks right here. These check marks are pretty significant. They mean that this file is added to Git. So what's gonna when you make a commit, these files will be added to that commit. So to make the first commit, I'm gonna go down here into this box and make the summary and say added. And you want to be pretty good with your commit names, and then write a description. I mean, if you're having any problems, or if because the idea is that you want to document this stuff well for yourself if you come back next year and you're like, where was I? Or if you like are sharing these files with a team, if you're on a team, you want to be a good team member. So you want to document them really well. I used to be kind of famous in the office for just writing my lunch orders in the descriptions there. And some engineers got really mad at me after a while, so I had to stop doing that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hit this button, commit to master, and I've added a commit. And you see this little line just jump down. So that was the commit that I just made. Let me rewind the view here. Click on this. There we go. So now it's blue. So I'm looking at an old commit, and there's two files changed in it. There's index and style. So you can see what's in each file. You can see all the files that are changed in the commits. And let's go back to the current view, and I'll go back into Atom, and let's remove that background line here. Save, and cancel, refresh, and it's back to gray. And we can see over here that the GitHub app has been updated with that change that I just made. The line that said background pink has been removed, and I've added a blank line. So this is the way that you view it. The removed and added. There, you see that the line number is the same. It just means it's been changed. And the tab up here says we have one uncommitted change. Our style has been updated, and we'll say removed the pink background, committed. Now we have another commit. Cool. All right, so we're cruising along our commit path, and we're having a happy, fun time. But then all of a sudden, like, our designer comes up to us, or our manager with like this crazy idea, or we have this crazy idea, and we're like, hey, instead of having a gray background or a pink background, we tried a pink, it doesn't work. Why don't we do a purple background? Purple? No, how about lavender? It's even crazier than purple. So lavender background, let's switch over to Atom. No, actually, wait. Before we do that, before we go into Atom, before we start changing codes and going in all crazy directions, why don't we do this? Let's go into our GitHub application and use this little button right here. It's like a commit stream with a plus button. This is the add branch button. So we're going to create a new branch. And when it says from, this means like, where are we going to start from? What are we going to base our new branch on? So we're going to base the new branch on master, and we're going to call it crazy idea and create a new branch. Now, notice that my branch is shown right here. See that? We're branching off, and we are on the crazy idea branch, the crazy idea path right now. And if I go over here and click this view branch, I'm looking at just the crazy idea branch and not its relationship to any other branches. So notice that the crazy idea is an exact copy of the master branch. The master branch, remember, we had all those commits in it. So if I hover over one of these, added the index and style files, changed the background, removed the background pink, all of that commit history is part of the new branch. It didn't just start like a little fresh new baby at that point. Like, it has like all of the history, which is interesting to note. So let's go in here finally and go into Atom. And we're just going to say background lavender. How do you spell lavender? Lavender. Not A-E-R. Silly pants. I should have known it because, yeah. The little dot didn't show up. Okay, so go back to our Chrome update. Now we have a lavender background. What a revolutionary idea. It's so insane, but I like it. I kind of like it. So made the BG lav E-N-D-E-R, lavender. And I've committed this commit to crazy idea, right? So if I go to crazy idea switch up here and switch back to master and then refresh my browser, the background of lavender is gone because now the whole repo, the whole state of the repo, the whole state of the code on my system has been changed to reflect, you know, how the master branch looks. And if I switch this back to crazy idea branch and my browser, the background is lavender. And this is cool. So I show my manager, and or show my friend or show myself or whatever, and I like it. It's good. This crazy idea worked out. Maybe we tested it with some people and it's fantastic. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take these changes and push them back into master. Master is like the master branch, right? So that's where we want to make, like, we want to keep the master branch as, like the official truth of what our application or website is like. So we go off into our branches to do the weird stuff, and then if we like it, we pull it in to make it true. So the way that we do that is by creating a pull request. We're going to click this pull request button here on the top right, and see it's got like this dotted line and the pull request kind of icon right here. Go away. Okay. So I've always thought this is really weird and backwards, but the idea of how they word it and how they visually describe it is that you have the first item, the first branch, and then you pull into it. You would think it would be like this goes into this, but it's like, I don't know. So right here you can click down what is going to get the new branch, and we only have one option, master. But if you had a lot of different branches, you don't need to pull everything into master. You can pull branches into branches, whatever. But master branch is the only one that we have, other than crazy idea. So it's the only one that shows up here. So the graphic tells us that crazy idea is going to go into master, and I'm going to say merge to master, which is the most famous pull request message ever, and I'm going to send the pull request. And what's happening now actually is it's creating the pull request on GitHub. So I don't know if I can accept here. Pull request created, you can view it at GitHub. Okay, so you can't accept pull requests here in the application, but you notice that I have a pull request number 1 up here where it said make pull request. So let's click on that button here and notice that it updates our browser. It sends us to the pull request. Now, remember when I said that a pull request is a list of everything that's changed, right? So here's all the commits that are inside the pull request, and you can actually look at the code, and you can look at, everything that's been changed already. And they have this, GitHub has this really great view. You can look at it like we saw before, top and bottom, or you can split. I like the split view because you can see what's been removed and what's, come on, split view. You can see what's been removed and what's been added a lot easier there, I think, but it doesn't really matter. So here's the conversation, and I'm I'm gonna write to my guy who I write to myself, but the person who created this pull request. I'll be like, this code is sloppy, and I'll comment on it, and then he'll be like, no, it's not. But I don't know. Anyway, in these comments, you can do you can add files inline, you can style your whatever. I'm just saying. You can make new commits, and every new commit you make will be added to this PR. So you've got it all ready. I don't know why I created a little bit of problems there for the guy, but you can see that this conversation is centered around make the background lavender. In fact, let's go into this code here and make a comment. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to plus right here and write a comment ooh, I like. Now there's a comment on that line of code, which is kind of cool. So if I as the code reviewer, as the person who's reviewing the pull request, and I see the problem, I can be like, here's the problem, it's right here. Or this is good code, or or not even comment. Nobody ever comments on those things. All right, back to our pull request here. It's looking good. I'm gonna go merge the pull request. So ideally you want somebody else to merge, but I'm only one person today. So I'm gonna merge this pull request, and I can make a note yes, looks good. Looks good, looks good. And confirm the merge. Now that this merge is done, I would like to delete the branch, right? And it's really important to keep your repo tidy. So let's just delete the branch, and GitHub is like, hey, you should delete it. And so I'm just gonna say, yeah, let's do that. And you can always restore it if you need to go back. I can see that there is only one branch. Now, if I go back to my GitHub application here, and I see that I have 2 branches, I'm gonna go to master, and I'm gonna synchronize. So, oh, look at that cute little PR icon. Okay, I'm gonna synchronize my application with with all the work that I did on the website. So syncing. So now that I've synced it, it's the same as everything we did on the website. So I can see this commit here, which is a merge commit, pulling in the lavender background, and that's kind of reflected locally on my system. But look, I still have that crazy idea branch. Well, the thing is, this crazy idea branch is local. See, I still need to publish it again if I want it back on the website. So what I can do to remove a crazy idea from my system, because I want to keep my local system clean too, right? So I'm going to go into that crazy idea branch. Let me move this over here so you can see it. And I'm going to go to branch and delete crazy idea. Yeah, sure, that's fine. And now the only branch is master again. And there's our commit path. Everything looks pretty good. So this is like a basic overview of the application, and I've seen the application go from version 1.0 to whatever it is now, and it's come quite a long way. There's a lot you can do now, and you used to not be able to do much. So it's a pretty good alternative for people who are like afraid of the command line, or just like starting out with Git and don't really know how to like initialize everything. To be honest, I've been using it nearly my whole career, and I haven't had any problems with it other than maybe the engineers laughing at me and thinking I'm kind of a noob. But I think that's okay. That's a good trade-off for having an easily understandable interface versus, you know, like just a scary blank command line. Next week, we're gonna do all these same things, but only using the command line. And that's when my noobishness will really shine, because I've kind of only ever used the app before. So it should be fun. Make sure you tune in for that. This video is made possible by the patrons of the Dev Tips channel. These people are the people who believe in Dev Tips enough to donate $1 or $2 for every tutorial video that I make. They get the benefit of watching the videos early and getting extra content. And there's like the live hangouts we've been doing, and oh yeah, the chat is really awesome. To learn more about the Patreon community, visit patreon.com/devtips. The link is in the description of the video. And really, guys, any little bit helps. If you're thinking like, oh, I love to contribute, but I only, just like $1 a video is $4 a month. It doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to me when you add them up, right? And if you're worried that I'm gonna make too many videos, which I promise I won't, but if you're worried, that's fine. You can set a monthly cap. So if you only wanna donate $1 a video with a cap of $2 a month, that's perfectly fine as well. Anyhow, thanks for watching this video. I can't wait to make the next one, and I'll see you then. Keep on hacking. See that punch? It's like oh, that's a PewDiePie thing. No, no. They get the benefit of watching the Ow, my neck hurts. It's an application built by GitHub, and it's really cool. So come on noobs, let's get started. Come on noobs, let's go. That's weird, it's so weird. Why are you doing that? Okay. It's an application built by GitHub, and what? I record at 4 in the morning, so I don't have this problem. But it still happens. People will be driving by, people will be just parking or something, letting it idle with big diesel trucks right outside my garage. Ugh, and I have these big gaps in my recording.